Hello and welcome to Good Game Well Played. My name is Hingers, and today on the show we thought we'd try something a little bit different. We are up here in the Good Game offices, and we are joined by a man who's about to head to Boston, Massachusetts for the Pokemon World Championships at the end of this month. His name is Phil Boom Guy Newen, and he joins us now. Phil, it is a pleasure to have your company here today.
Thank you for having me, Hingers.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about competitive Pokemon? Because obviously everyone's played, you know, the Pokemon game, but people might be a bit surprised to know that there is a World Championship and that you can play it this hardcore.
Yes, so we all know that Pokemon is based one-on-one battles with 6 Pokemon in the back, but the official competition is a double battle. And yes, you bring 6 Pokemon into a tournament, but you only pick 4 in each battle. You see the opponent's 6 Pokemon, and you choose what 4 Pokemon you want to bring based on their 6 Pokemon.
So does that mean there's a lot of a metagame happening then? Because you're having to draft Pokemon just to counter the Pokemon that your opponent has chosen?
Yeah, definitely there is a metagame that people like their favourites type of Pokemon, and there's always the strong ones are always consistently there. So yeah, you might want to readjust your strategy because of that.
How does the actual gameplay work? You have 4 Pokemon, it's a 2v2 battle.
Double battle, yeah. 2 Pokemon on the field at the same time. Yeah.
And you are switching them in and out. And does that element of strategy mean that the choices you're making aren't just about which abilities you're using, it's also about when you can remove and replace your Pokemon?
Yeah. So there's a bit of a mind game as well. So you might think the opponent will obviously use an electrical attack on a water type. Sometimes they may not do that. They might attack the partner instead.
How can you read your opponent? Are you looking at their face and being like, I know what you're going to do? Or are you just guessing?
I literally do look at their face for, you know...
Wait, are you looking at where they're looking on their DS to see, like, what they could be looking at? Or are you just like, I know what that blink means, you've got to tell?
Yeah, there's a bit of an element to that as well. And there's... usually people like to have their own habits on how they play.
And do you research your opponents as well beforehand?
Yeah, I definitely do that. I definitely research how they play, what their certain habits they like to do. You can watch like previous YouTube videos that they have out there.
So does that mean that you, as a professional, you shouldn't be putting out YouTube videos because then people can like get tells off you? Or do you do what other professional gamers do and put out misinformation via your stream in order to like trick people in the metagame?
I haven't done that yet, but my purpose...
Well, you'd never admit to it, obviously. You'd never admit to it. That's what you want us to think. Get it, right?
No, but basically, I put my videos out there for other people to learn how to play, and I do like to mix it up. I'm not always going to play the same all the time. That's how I like to see things. I'm always customise the strategy for each different person, so it's not... you're not going to get the standard Phil playing the same thing over and over.
So what separates you from a casual player then in terms of your attitude towards the game and your commitment to it?
I guess, yeah, it's the time commitment you invest in the game and also the emotional decisions of which Pokemon you want to bring. Yes, most people are against using the strong popular Pokemon because it's kind of boring and that, but they are the strongest for a reason, and you sometimes might have to use them.
Are there computer programs that are run to work out which Pokemon are the strongest, or is it just based on experience from previous battles?
Pretty much just experience through previous battles and watching other players play as well, and you might get inspired on some ideas on how to use.
What is the time commitment that you are kind of putting into this game?
I've worked full-time as a normal job, so I'm not a complete full-time Pokemon player. But
is there anyone who's doing it full-time and that's nothing else?
No, everyone has a life, you know. They're either studying, surprisingly, yes. Right, okay. They're all either studying or working full-time, and majority of it is all uni students. Only the World Championships offers money. And,
right.
Yes, so there's like a scholarship, they call it a scholarship.
They call it a scholarship, right.
So I don't know how that money, you know, how you can use that money.
I feel like federally recognised educational grant, like...
Probably.
So in terms of the time commitment then, you said you work full time, so what's your training schedule like?
2 hours maximum, minimum maybe, to
a day? Or
a day at least, if I can. Combine it with watching videos, reading stories from other people, and battling as well, so you get used to it, and talking to other people to get a bit of mentoring in a way.
How many years have you been playing Pokemon?
So I've been playing for 3 years. This is my 3rd year now.
But that's just competitively, right?
Competitively,
you were playing it
beforehand, but I wasn't playing that, putting a lot of commitment back then. But ever since the real events happened in Australia, I've started putting more commitment into it. So you could say 10 hours a week at least.
For 3 years?
Yeah, for three years, yeah.
That's like 1,500 hours of...
There is an off-season too. Like after the World Championships last year, I stopped playing for a certain amount of time until the new game came out, and then...
What made you decide from going from being a casual player to playing competitively with Pokemon?
Basically, it just started with the dream of actually wanting to be recognised as the world champion. That's the main motivator for me. Always wanted that Pikachu trophy. It really looks awesome there.
So they announced the World Championships and you were like, this is my goal, this is what I want.
Yeah, they announced some Australian qualifications that, yep, this is it, I really want to put in some effort into it.
Was there a clear pathway from going from where you were to where you wanted to be? Or?
Pretty much, it was under control of the event organisers. So Nintendo has been hosting all the events so far, and they have given us the opportunity to compete in these competitions.
How has Australia done previously in the World Championships? Are we a top-ranked nation?
We could be in the top 5 of around the world, but in the World Championships, we've only started since 2013, so our first representatives didn't do really well, unfortunately. But last year was the breakthrough. Dane O'Meara finished in the top 8 of the national championships.
What are the powerhouse nations in Pokemon?
So the powerhouse nation is the USA. They are the most dominant ones with about 10 different winners.
I would have thought it'd be Japan.
We thought so too, but once I've just researching through the history of the World Championships, there was a couple of years where Japan couldn't send as many people as they wanted to,
right.
And their system for qualification is a bit different. Like, it doesn't suit how the World Championships is played, like, because they play best of 1, and the World Championships is all best of 3. So
right, so it's a different format.
It is a completely different format for them, and maybe their best players can't qualify.
In esports, there's been accusations of cheating and map hacking and all kinds of other exploits throughout most competitive gaming. Is there a similar thing happening in Pokemon?
Yeah, there has been. Like, there's been a few cases of screen cheating.
How can people even do that? Because it's live, isn't it? In a tournament setting.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all seated from one end to another. Like, and we're pretty close to each other too.
So how can I screen cheat from you? Am I like literally looking over at your...
People that are like 190 centimeters tall can actually see that
So
from the other side.
It's a height.
It is.
Would you ever invest in like a cardboard screen to put over the top of your DS?
Some people would like try to put the plushie on behind their DS so they can hide it, or like go that close on their screen so that no one can see it.
Screen cheating. That's like screen cheating is like the most old school form of cheating.
It is.
It's like, and do people actually like hack the game at all?
Yeah, there's people that hack the game. Like, they create the Pokemon from a third-party program.
And what does that allow them to do? Because can't you kind of train up a Pokemon to whatever level?
You can train them up, have them statistically whatever you want them, the way you want them to be, with minimal time invested. Like,
right.
It's like a quick 10-minute process
so
compared to an hour.
Right, so the hacking is just a time save thing.
A time saver thing.
How do these people get caught then? Because if they're turning up with Pokemon that you could have made by training them, how can you possibly get caught?
It's just an epic fail when they get caught on stream. That's happened 2 times.
What? So people are on stream and they're like, oh, I'm just going to load up my cheating Pokemon now. Well, and everyone's like, wait a second.
Yeah, wait a second. Like, there's a level 50 Tyranitar here. It can't be level 50 because Tyranitar evolves at level 55. Like, they get caught.
That is such a great amount of detail. Thank you for that. What was your pathway to the World Championships then?
So my pathway has been through the regional events and the national events. So Australia had one regional event in every city around Australia and one in New Zealand, except for Darwin and Tasmania, unfortunately. So I travelled to 4 of the events, like Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne and Adelaide.
How did you go?
I only went ninth 2 times in Brisbane and Adelaide, and Sydney and Melbourne was pretty bad for me, and that was the worst, the most depressing times that I've ever had, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, that's what happens. I mean,
the dizzying heights, the crushing lows.
It was a real crushing low in Melbourne, and people saw it. Like, I was really visibly upset and depressed about it.
Because you were upset with your own performance, or was it because something happened during the meet that you weren't happy with, or...?
I was very disappointed with my own performance.
So you felt you made some poor decisions or something?
I felt like I made some really poor decisions.
But you've learnt from those experiences and
definitely
now you're heading to the World Championships.
Exactly. Right? Like, I've made the regional events of small points events. The national events are the big point events.
Right.
So I went to Melbourne for the Australian Nationals, got top 8 there, and that's a lot of points. And then I travelled to Singapore for the Asian Nationals, because Asia and Asia Pacific Australia is all combined in the rating zone, and competed in their nationals and went to the top 4.
Wow.
So subsequently, that got me 2nd overall, and that got me to the paid invite.
And the points allow you to qualify, and the Pokemon Company or Nintendo flies you across to...
Yeah, the Pokemon Company has paid for my flights and accommodation, and also I've skipped day 1 of competition, so I'm into day 2.
Ah, so you just rock right up like a rock star. Everyone else is like plebing out, doing all their, like, having to qualify in the first
day
round.
1, yeah, through day 1, yes.
Wow, that's super exciting. And what do you think your chances are at the Pokemon World Championships?
I feel like I'm, top 10 shot.
Wow, it's pretty confident.
There is some challenges along the way to get to winning the competition. There is some great people there.
Right, and you think that it's going to be a tough slog, but it's a potential thing you're aiming for top 10.
Exactly. I'm aiming for the 1.
Really?
Or the top 8. Because
you want that trophy?
I definitely want that trophy, yeah.
Is there a next level after the World Championships?
That's
like
it.
That, and then you start the season again next year?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So after the World Championships, we'll have a 2-month break, and then...
You'll be back into it, do you think, or...?
No, definitely not, unfortunately. I want to focus on other life things. I will only get back into it if I actually win the World Championships, because the winner of the World Championship gets a free paid invite back to the next year World Championships.
Right.
So.
Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining us today. Best of luck at the World Championships. Please let us know how you do.
Thank you.
And we would love to have you back to chat about your successes, or
definitely
maybe not successes.
Or follow the Pokemon Twitch stream during the weekend of the whole championship, so you can watch me there. I aim to be there, so...
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us and watching. That's all for this week. We'll see you next time. Hingers out!
Boom guy out.